My boots crunch on the gravel as I step out of the cruiser, the morning sun beating down on my face like a hammer. I glance up at the small, weathered house, its windows like empty eyes staring back at me. The dispatcher's voice still echoes in my head. Domestic disturbance, possible assault, 123, Oak Street. Routine, I think. Just another day, another dollar. I take a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of fresh-cut grass, and something else, something metallic, something sharp. My gut twists with a familiar sense of unease. This one's got a bad feel to it. I glance at my partner, Jenkins, who's already moving towards the front door. His eyes are narrowed, his jaw set. We've been partners for 5 years, and I know that look. It means he's expecting trouble. We exchange a brief nod, and I fall in behind him, my hand resting on my sidearm. The door swings open, and Jenkins steps inside, his voice low and calm. "Sheriff's Department, ma'am. We're here to help." I follow close behind, my eyes scanning the dim interior. The air's heavy with tension, with the stench of stale cigarettes and sweat. And something else, something dark, something primal. My heart's pounding now, the beat echoing in my ears like a drum. I'm not thinking about the call, not thinking about the protocol. I'm thinking about my family, my wife, my kids. I'm thinking about what I'd do if this was my house, my wife, my kids. My mind's racing, my senses on high alert. I'm ready for anything. But I know I'm not ready for what's about to come. I'll never forget the chill that ran down my spine as we pulled up to 345 Oak Street. The call had come in as a possible domestic disturbance, but something about the dispatcher's tone told me this was more. The radio crackled to life, my partner, Sergeant Lee Sorensen, giving a curt acknowledgement as he killed the engine. I nodded at Eric Estrada, his eyes locked on the house, his face set in a determined expression. As we stepped out of the cruiser, the evening air seemed to vibrate with an electric tension. My heart thudded in my chest, the sound of my own ragged breathing the only thing I could focus on. I glanced at the house, a 2-story colonial with a wraparound porch. The windows were dark, the curtains drawn, but a faint light flickered in the kitchen. "What do we know?" I asked Lee, my voice low. "Not much, just a report of a disturbance," he replied, his eyes scanning the perimeter. Eric shifted uncomfortably, his hand resting on his gun. I knew he was itching for a reason to draw, to make a name for himself. I shot him a warning glance, but he didn't seem to pick up on it. We moved towards the house, our boots crunching on the gravel drive. The air was heavy with the scent of blooming lilacs, but beneath it, a faint tang of fear. My gut told me this was going to be a long night. I pushed open the creaking screen door, my hand resting on my own gun, and stepped into the unknown. My heart's racing like a jackrabbit's as we approached the residence. I can feel the weight of my gun, the familiar grip of it in my hand, but it's not enough to calm the knot in my stomach. Something's off. I glance at Sorensen, my partner, and see the same unease etched on his face. We exchange a brief, silent understanding. This isn't going to go well. And then, without warning, he's out the door, rifle in hand, eyes blazing with a fury that sends a chill down my spine. Ryan Michael Bate, a name I've seen on paperwork, a face I've studied in photos, is no longer just a name or a face. He's a force of nature, hell-bent on destruction. Time seems to slow as the sound of gunfire erupts, like a crack of thunder on a summer day. Sorensen's down, Estrada's down, Chin's stumbling backward, his eyes wide with shock. The scene's a blur of chaos, the only sound the ring of gunfire and the distant wail of sirens. I'm frozen, my mind screaming at me to move, to act, but my body's rooted to the spot. Bates still firing, the rifle's report echoing off the trees, and I'm convinced I'm the next target. My heart's pounding in my chest, sweat's dripping down my face, and all I can think is, this is it, this is the end. More officers arrive, their voices shouting, their guns drawn, but Bates still out there, still firing. I see one of the deputies go down, AK-9 yelping in pain as it's dragged across the lawn. The scene's a cacophony of sound and chaos, and I'm just trying to survive it, to make it through the next few seconds without becoming a statistic. I'll never forget the sound of Bates' laughter echoing through the empty streets. It sent a chill down my spine, but I pushed it aside, focusing on the task at hand. My eyes locked onto the suspect, my training kicking in as I assessed the situation. He was getting closer, his rifle pointed at a young mother, her hands raised in a futile attempt to protect her child. My heart was racing, sweat dripping down my face as I calculated the odds. I knew I had to act fast, but one misstep could cost innocent lives. Bate took another step forward, his eyes glinting with madness. I could smell the metallic scent of blood, the air thick with tension. "We need to get out of here now," I muttered into the radio, my voice steady despite the chaos unfolding before me. I spotted a chance to take down Bate, but he'd already taken 2 more lives. The images etched themselves into my mind like a branding iron. The young girl, her eyes frozen in terror. The old man, his life slipping away. That's when I saw her, a local woman, her face set in determination, pushing through the crowd. She was heading straight for Bate, her eyes locked onto his. I knew I had to trust her, had to give her the chance to disarm him. I took a deep breath, my mind racing with possibilities. The woman, a fierce look on her face, was closing in on Bate. I could see the calculation in her eyes, the understanding that this was their only chance. My eyes locked onto hers, a silent understanding passing between us. This was it, the moment of truth. I remember the sound of silence after the gunfire stopped. The dust settles, and all that's left is the heavy weight of what's been done. I'm standing there, boots planted in the dirt, eyes scanning the scene. Bodies scattered around me, some still, others twitching. I see the look of horror on Chen's face, his partner. The one who's been by my side through thick and thin. The one who's been through hell today. I think back to the moment it all went down. The flash of adrenaline, the rush of fear. Chen's voice in my ear. He's got a gun. My heart racing, I swing my rifle around, taking aim. Time slows down. I see Bate's face, twisted in a snarl. See the glint of the gun. I fire. I fire again. The sound echoes through my mind like a nightmare. Now, chaos erupts as wounded are rushed to the hospital. I'm moving from one body to the next, checking for signs of life. The paramedics arrive, and I'm pushed aside. I'm not needed here. Not right now. I take a step back, eyes scanning the area. The community is in shock. People are crying, screaming. I see Chun, his eyes vacant, his face pale. He's walking towards me, his eyes locked on mine. I can see the weight of what's happened bearing down on him. Bate's being taken away, his wrists cuffed behind his back. He's looking up at me, a mixture of anger and hatred in his eyes. I think about the look on the victim's face. Think about the sound of the gunfire. Think about the lives lost today. I force myself to look away, to focus on the task at hand. But it's hard. The images are seared into my mind. I'm left to wonder how I'll ever shake this off. How I'll ever go back to being the same person I was before today. I stood there, staring out at the crowd of onlookers. Chen's face a mixture of relief and exhaustion. They were hailing him as a hero, but I knew better. The real heroes were the ones I'd seen scattered around the perimeter, the ones who'd risked their lives to save others. The young mom who'd shielded her child with her body. The businessman who'd carried an injured woman to safety. Those were the people who deserved recognition, not some deputy who'd just happened to show up. As I watched Chun being swarmed by the media, I couldn't help but think about the system that had allowed this to happen. How did we let this happen? How did we let a man with a history of violence, a man who'd threatened to kill cops, get his hands on a gun? The questions swirled in my head like a maelstrom, each one burning more brightly than the last. I thought about the families I'd seen that day, the ones who'd lost loved ones. The wife who'd held her husband's lifeless body, the kids who'd been left fatherless. The thought of any of them going through what I'd gone through, it was pausing, struggling to find the words. It was unacceptable. Unacceptable. I turned to Chun, my eyes locking onto his. He looked worn out, but there was a fire in his eyes that I recognized. It was the same fire that had driven me to become a deputy in the first place. A desire to make a difference. To use our experiences to bring about change. To ensure that no family had to suffer the way mine had. You know, Chun, I said, my voice low and even. This isn't over. Not for us. Not for the victims. We've got a chance to make a difference here. To use this tragedy to force some real change. Are you with me?